Hey guys, Dantix here, bringing you a video on Jeff, the baby Landshark, the most adorable hero yet. He's a strategist able to support his team and munch on his enemies. He can quite literally chew them up and spit them out, right off an edge for easy kills, though his main strength comes from his maneuverability, able to swim through any terrain, be it ground or walls, and provide powerful long-range healing to his allies by spitting water on them. Just like with Squirtle, don't ask where all that water is coming from. He has a decent amount of stopping power and takes a less face damage because just look at that adorable mug. So first I'll show off all his skills and team ups, then I'll take you through a real match where he ensures victory. Jeff, the baby Landshark, has to be the most adorable character yet. If you look at the bottom left, you'll see 50 out of 50, that's his left click. It shoots out a stream of water, and when it runs out, in order to reload, it eats a little fish. Now, the 12 is his right click. It's a ranged attack, and when it hits a target, it will explode, dealing damage in an AoE. It does a fair amount of damage, but the main thing is it's fairly consistent, meaning you can sit all the way back behind your team and keep peppering the enemies until they need a heal, of course, and then you can just kind of come in and spray as your heart's content. Now, there's one thing that most people don't realize with Jeff is that his left click looks like it's fairly short ranged, but if we get all the way over here, you'll see that it has an extremely long range. I don't think it actually has a limit. I think it does go full range. It just arcs down, as you can see. So it will continue until it hits a wall or hits the ground. But as you can see, it is a very effective heal. Most people thinking Jeff needs to get up to mid-range in order to be an effective healer. Absolutely not. You can stay all the way back if you need to, and if someone needs a heal, you can just heal them from max range and then continue to pepper your enemies. And then if someone gets close, that's when his next ability comes in handy. Left shift lets him move around faster through the ground. He's a baby Landshark, so he can all along the ground, and even if you press space and hold it, up a wall. So getting used to how he rides up on walls is initially difficult. You've got to hold the space down, and you've got to make sure not to hit a vertical surface like that, and you won't pop out. So it's very useful for getting away from enemies because it reduces your profile, meaning they have to hit your fin in order to damage you, and that's the only place they can damage you. And most of the time you're just going to go under bullets. That's about your hitbox there. Some bullets are hitting, some bullets are missing. You only have 250 health as Jeff, so you're going to be very careful. Now, when I'm in the ground like this, I can't use any abilities other than to resurface. When you resurface, you might want to use your E. Your E sends out these bubbles. If you get one of these bubbles, it will heal you and increase the healing you get from other sources. When I say other sources, I mean just other sources than that particular bubble. Even other bubbles will start healing you for more while you have that green buff around your health bar. And of course, it works on allies. It works a lot better on actual allies and not these bots here. But if this was a real person in the game and I shoot bubbles towards their direction, it's just going to automatically heal them. So it has quite a lot of charges. As you can see, the charges are regenerating in the bottom right there. And it has a fair distance as well, as you can see. As long as you get the angle right, you can see it's got a fair amount of distance. You're never going to be in a game where you need to heal someone from further away than that. So that is his main kit. Now, what about his ultimate? His ultimate is one of my favorites in the game. You're going to jump into the ground like Venom kind of does, except you are untargetable. And then you can munch everything in the reticule allies and enemies included, and with a left click you can spit out enemies. They're getting damaged, by the way, while they're inside of Jeff, and the right click spits out the allies. But if time runs out, obviously they're going to automatically come out. Now, like I mentioned, it does a small amount of damage while they're inside, but not enough for you to consider keeping them in there the whole time and just letting them pop out. No, what you want to actually do with enemies is, if I can pull it up here, you want to eat them up. You want to find an edge. 3, 2, I can't make it in time. Yeah, I can't make it in time here. And they fly, so I can't really show it off. But there will be clips of Jeff using this ultimate correctly. You spit them over an edge, and it insta-kills them. Yes, you can do that. There is even a bug right now in the game, which I'm sure will be resolved by the time you get your hands on it. It's not a bug, it's an exploit, where you take an enemy with your ultimate and place them inside your own starting area, and they can't leave it because, of course, the starting area has a barrier that doesn't let enemies through. So they get stuck in there as long as one of your own team doesn't kill them. So the enemies will be playing a man down. That's if you want to be that kind of player. However, this ultimate has a lot of applications. One, you can keep your allies safe while they're inside of you. They're not going to be taking any damage. You can reposition them. You can also take enemies away from the fight and away from your allies, split them out somewhere, kill them. You can just simply disrupt teams, take away their healers, take away their backlines, because Jeff can get in fairly easily. It's very difficult to slow him down, except have very good aim or be someone like Scarlet Witch that can just kind of stay on him. But he finds it very easy to get into fights, get into the backlines. He can take out key targets if he needs to, but his main role is going to be to sit back and provide support to his team by right click and left clicking appropriately. So you've got to learn the timing and you've got to learn positioning with Jeff. Positioning is very important because you have a small amount of HP, very, very small. 250, you've got no way to keep yourself safe besides putting down these and staying around them. So when someone like a Punisher inevitably targets you, or Hela inevitably targets you, you can quickly pop that bubble, because if Hela shoots you twice, you're dead. If Punisher shoots you just for a second, you're going to die, so you're going to need to have that quick reaction. Also, you can't stay under the surface because you can't do anything when you're under the surface, so you can't just sit there. You need to be outside and be able to heal your allies. So the ideal situation is to be around like this, so you can still heal your allies, but you're away from the enemy's fire. Then if you see someone like the bot up there that just got killed starting to target you, you want to get into the ground and get behind cover. So Jeff has a lot of ways to keep himself safe, to protect his teammates, and ultimately, pun intended, to do both in one fell swoop with his very powerful ultimate ability. So I can separate my allies and my enemies like so. Now you might be wondering, what team ups does Jeff get? Well, the first one is if Groot is in the game, you can press C on him to ride around. And that's really good because you can just sit here, spot healing him from the top, and you get that extra 50% damage reduction while you're on top. Now do keep in mind that he needs to walk over the bubbles that you place around him in order for you to heal, and you can die fairly quickly, like you can see there, if they do target you. However, you'll have effectively 500 HP while you're on Groot's back because of that damage reduction. It just becomes a lot easier to keep him healed. I haven't found it extremely useful. It's only when there really isn't anywhere for you to hide, so you might as well just kind of go ham and just keep Groot nice and healed up. You can use it as a mobile artillery of kinds while you're on his back. And it's also a little bit of fun if you have a friend who wants to go Groot and you want to go Jeff, or vice versa, and you just want to play together. It works fairly well. Now, the other team up is when Lunar Snow is on your team. You get an extra ability. If you press X, you'll eat an ice fish, and you will do slightly more damage with your right click. I haven't been able to test if it actually slows you down just yet, but my assumption is that it slows enemies down, and it also does slightly more damage, and you get this cute frosty collar on Jeff as well, if that's something you want. And having Lunar Snow on your team is good as well, because then you have a more primary healer and you can kind of focus more on disrupting the enemies and doing that AoE damage. Now let's get into a game. It was probably around my third or fourth time using Jeff, and I make a lot of mistakes, so it's a good game to kind of show you what not to do and what to do, because we do ultimately win. So let's get right into it. Alright, here we are, and since we're on attack, I start placing down bubbles just so people can immediately start healing, because we know we're going to be under assault right out the gate. Now, instead of taking the front foot and trying to damage the team, I want to ensure that my team stays relatively healthy, because we just need to secure some positioning, meaning we just need to get dug in some way so we can keep the pressure on. Now, I made a mistake there. I didn't keep healing. I tried to reposition, but I like repositioning with Jeff just in order to not take primary fire from any one hero. So I like being behind cover, for example, this position here, or just behind the structure here. That's the best spot I've found for this particular map, just because I can keep healing, like you see here, and avoid any enemy fire. You want to stay alive as long as possible with Jeff, because his healing is quite literally tied to how long you can keep your left click targeting an ally. Now, Venom jumps on me, so I reposition. I always reposition by jumping to the ground using the left shift, because it's a lot faster, obviously, and you lower your profile, meaning that most of the time they will stop hitting you because they're targeting your body, and your body is now under the surface with only your fin showing, as you could see there. That was a perfect example. Now, I come up trying to help Punisher kill the Storm there, but I was a bit too late, so instead he just gets a heal. I know that you don't see many kills by Jeff right at this point in the game, and that's generally how you want to play as Jeff, because you want to cement yourself in the first checkpoint before you really try to put yourself out there and be open for being taken out or being killed or being murdered by these horrible people who want to see Jeff dead. So Penny Parker charges, and of course that's a good opportunity to use your left click, to use your damaging ability. I keep the team topped up, and this is the most important part here. We need to get as many people out of the way so we can take the checkpoint. So I go to the edge and I spit them out. Unfortunately, I grabbed Storm. I thought I grabbed more people than that, so this was a major fail on my part. Storm obviously can't fall off the edge, but if that was any other hero, they would be dead, and we would have already had this checkpoint. So that was a huge fail on my part, but the least I can do now is to keep the team healed. I noticed my health was dropping, so I spat a bubble against the wall and healed back up. Yes, you can eat your own medical bubbles there. Now I just need to wait for my ultimate to come back up. Obviously we dodged that maximum pulse there. When my ulti is back up, I'm able to get in and kind of go on the offensive a little bit in order to disrupt the enemy team and make it so my team gains more ground. That's really Jeff's role. Here I'm going to wrap around just to ensure Star-Lord stays safe and I stay safe, because I'll be behind cover. Even though it is destructible, it's not destroyed just yet, so I follow him down just to make sure he keeps getting healed. Venom would be my priority typically, but he has a lot of HP, so I leave him for a second and try to heal back up the Punisher, who will be primarily our DPS, so keeping him nice and topped up means that all the work that Venom is doing to absorb hits doesn't go wasted, as we can clear out some enemies. Hopefully that made sense. And now, because Luna's ulti is going, I switch to the offensive, knowing that my team is going to stay relatively healthy within that ultimate. That doesn't last too long though, as Venom does get sort of low, so I just immediately spit bubbles at him. Now you notice that if I want them healed very quickly, I'll spit some bubbles at them, because that heals faster and that amplifies my heals. So I want to get good positioning. I climb up the wall and I get on top. That gives me a good vantage in order to take out Lunar Snow there and keep my team nice and topped up. With Jeff, you want to really get good positioning, because
His heal is straight. It fires in a slight arc, but it fires ahead of you where you're targeting. So if there's something between you and your ally, you're not going to heal them, and you can't throw a bubble at them, you can't do anything really to help, so you want to make sure you're in a good position. Usually that means high ground. I should have gone up the right side here, up into that wall there, so I can keep healing and I can pressure the enemy team. But my ultimate comes up, so I use this opportunity to grab all the enemies from the back and immediately take them to the edge here. I've got 3 enemies and I spit them off. Now, as you can see, they end up killing themselves. I don't get the credit for it, but it was a very good move, and it's almost ensured our victory at this particular point of the game. I just got to make sure I don't die here to the Hulk, so I use my movement speed to get away from him, and then we just... That is a dead Hulk. Now with the enemy Storm coming at us with the ultimate, as long as my team was fully healed, I was able to go on the offensive and take her out, and they were. So now I find the real Loki and we take him out, and that should be it. In a bit of desperation, they're going to come at us one by one, which is usually what happens when you've almost finished the game, and that will be it. Victory for us. So as you can see, Jeff spends the majority of his time healing his team. That's what he's good at. He's good at maneuvering around, getting in position, making sure everyone stays alive, that they're AoE proof because the stream does pierce through targets. So although it says I did less healing than Lunar Snow, it is combat healing, so it is when we actually require it. There's less topping people up with this hero, and there's a lot of distracting and disrupting enemies with this hero. So your stats aren't going to reflect your contribution to the game like they didn't in this particular one. But Jeff is a very valuable hero, and he's a lot of fun to play. So that's Jeff, the baby Landshark. Let me know below how you feel about the character, and for everything RPG and Marvel Rivals, you're in the right place. Ciao, friends.